And joining me now is the Coalition's Deputy Leader in the Senate, Senator Simon Birmingham. Thanks very much for being with us, Senator.
Hello, Leigh. Good to be with you.
Can I ask firstly, has the government reached a deal yet with Senator Lambie on the medevac repeal bill?
Leigh, the medevac repeal bill will be put to a vote in the Senate this week, and it will be up to each of the 76 senators to determine whether or not they support the repeal of this unnecessary piece of legislation that has weakened the ability of the government to be able to control our borders and determine whether or not people are of sufficient good character to come to Australia and to stop those of bad character from being transferred
here. To
get
that through, you need Senator Lambie's vote. So I ask again, have you reached a deal with her yet?
Well, to get that through, we need a majority of the 76 votes. The Labor Party could put it through instantly. They're the ones who created this mess.
Have you reached a deal with Senator Lambie?
Well, we continue discussions with crossbenchers, and we'll do so with anybody in terms of the efforts necessary to be able to pass this repeal legislation, because importantly that will strengthen again the ability of the government of the day to be able to determine whether people are of sufficiently good character that they ought to be transferred here, or if they are of bad character that they ought not be transferred here.
Senator Lambie says her support's conditional on the government agreeing to something that she wants, but she won't make public what that is. Will all members of the Senate be made aware of what that quid pro quo is before they vote, so they know exactly what they're signing up to?
Well, the senators, when they vote on a piece of legislation, are signing up to that piece of legislation.
But if a deal's been done and she's been promised something in return for that, shouldn't the public and the members of the Senate be aware of that?
Well, let's deal firstly with your question about the members of the Senate, because you seem to have just told me that there's not another single vote that's in doubt in the Senate. Now, that may be the case, but if it's not going to change another vote, well, then you have to question what the relevancy is. Ultimately, the government will only agree to a proposal from a crossbench senator if it aligns with what we assess to be in the national interest in accordance with our values, our policies, our approaches.
And will you be transparent about what a deal with Senator Lambie would be?
We make sure that we handle, if we come to understandings with crossbench senators, those through all of the normal proper processes of government. If it involves legislation, it will come to the Parliament. If it involves a budget decision, it will be reflected in budget processes. But we ought not have to be in this position, Leigh, because firstly the Labor Party should never have passed this legislation in the first place, and you have to understand there's more than 160 individuals, as I understand it, who have been transferred to Australia under these laws. Less than 5 of them are currently in a hospital. It has weakened the ability of the Minister of the Day to determine whether people are of bad character. And indeed, we're facing a circumstance where an individual alleged of undertaking numerous misdeeds and incidents whilst on Manus Island is likely to be transferred here under these rules.
There's been a substantial distraction from the government's agenda thanks to Angus Taylor. Who authored the document with the false figures?
Leigh, Mr Taylor has been very clear in his answers to the Parliament and publicly in his statements that his office downloaded this document from the City of Sydney website.
But in correspondence between Mr Taylor's office and the Lord Mayor's office, he says the erroneous document was downloaded in September 2019, but the council's provided metadata evidence that shows the document was never altered from the accurate numbers that were posted in November 2018. So that would indicate that we are not yet at the bottom of how the Minister's office came to be in possession of that erroneous document that it then distributed.
Leigh, you're correct that Minister Taylor wrote to the Lord Mayor of Sydney apologising for the inaccuracies in the information. He has been very clear, as I said before, that the document was downloaded from the City of Sydney website.
But you must agree we're not at the bottom of the story.
Now, well, Leigh, as you're well aware, there is an investigation into the issues surrounding these documents. Let's let the investigation run its course.
Laura Tingle ran through some of the historical examples of integrity and accountability. A document with doctored numbers was circulated by the Minister's office for political gain. Regardless of how that happened and whether it was an innocent mistake or not, how does that not constitute an offence for which somebody should stand aside given the damage to the government's credibility?
Well, Leigh, I don't accept the premise of the doctored numbers claim you make there. The document with incorrect information certainly was circulated.
Even so, the Minister circulated a document with incorrect information for political gain. How is that not an offence that should require him to stand aside?
Well, Leigh, I don't think if the information was downloaded, as the Minister says, from the City of Sydney website, that is then clearly an innocent mistake that was made.
You don't
Now,
think it's an issue of credibility for your government? Because how does the public now trust any information that comes out of your government?
Well, Leigh, I think the public form their judgments based on the merits of arguments that are put forward. We went to the last election putting forward plans to make sure we deliver for the Australian people in terms of providing safety, security, certainty for them and their families, that we will work as hard as we can in growing the economy, in repairing the budget, in lowering taxes for them. And they're the things that mums and dads, grandparents and others worry about day in, day out, whether there will be jobs for them. And that's why we're so focused on continuing to build on our record of 1.5 million jobs, building on our economic policies of bringing the budget back to surplus whilst delivering record investment in the services Australians care about and delivering record levels of tax cuts legislated through this parliament after the election, as we promised we would do.
Senator, we're out of time, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you, Leigh.
Hi, I'm Leigh Sales. Thanks for watching this story. If you'd like to watch more of 730's stories, they are on the left of your screen. And tap on the button below to subscribe and get the latest from ABC News.